Welcome back to Hot Topic with Dominick, Izzo, Copville, and JoJo this week. This show is brought to you by Crave Creatine. Go to trycrave.com. Use code CC15 for 15% off. Why do we want creatine? Well, it builds 30% more lean muscle, sends water to the guns. Dom's got some guns. Magnitude of reasons. Also improves your mental health, makes you feel better. It is proven to make you smarter, because I've watched Tyler get smarter as he's taking Crave. So go to trycrave.com. Use code CC15 for 15% off. Great company, Dom. And it's owned by people here in the United States of America. Can you believe that? You've been right about a lot of things. I don't think we even told you. Did we tell you the other one you were right about?
I don't like talking about, because I don't ever like to throw people into the bus unless it's somebody. Who now? Okay. Who now am I right about?
I can't. I'll text you when we're done. It has to do with hormone replacement. You were right about that company too.
Yeah,
but it goes way deeper. I'll tell you afterwards. But you saw the thumbnail. We're back. You posted your, I guess today, you posted your updated your breakdown of the New Jersey shooter with Sergeant Bruno.
The full live down.
How did that go?
Well, it's on YouTube. Again, you're dealing with, in my opinion, more intelligent people. And people gave, during the live, and actually had a call in, they gave some extremely educated. I had one guy call in. We spent about 10, 12 minutes on the phone together. And his ultimate thing was he didn't like how many times the guy was shot. It's like, he had to shoot him 6 times, and it comes to that. On Instagram and Facebook, the argument is always, you're a fucking idiot. So I don't care what people say on Facebook and Instagram, because for the most part, they literally get the boot shoved so far down their throats they don't want to hear anything else. But it was a good conversation. A lot of people didn't take in outside of the one video that you played in the beginning, which was just that first, running up, drop the knife, drop the fucking knife, drop the bat, drop the fucking bat, blah, blah, and then shoot. Oh, bad shoot.
And most of the pushback I saw was from guys up there. A couple guys I got into it pretty deep with are in that area. And I believe, like you've talked about, their minds have been mushed with this de-escalation and mandatory ICAT training in New Jersey, where you have to de-escalate. And now cops think you have to go down that checklist in your head, and you can't shoot a guy unless you do this first, or you can't. And it's becoming a huge problem that I look at this one, and it's so obvious that I don't understand. It's like they're speaking Chinese when they try to tell me it's not justified. I don't understand what they're looking at.
I watched in greater detail, because we skimmed through it, the entire videos, police activity posted up online. So it was a 12-minute video, and I watched it, and you see the guy fit every single tenant of Graham v. Connor constantly, like on a sliding scale. It wasn't like, oh, he stopped it, he started it up again. He did everything. And the more I watch it, the more I keep putting myself in that Sergeant Bruno's shoes, where my view is, you're coming up to the scene, and where was he at? Was he in the PD doing paperwork? He had 20, I think there were 17 cops on scene, right? And he got out, well, it's just a bat. Well, why were 17 police officers there then? Number one. Number two, it's just a bat. Why did numerous guys have their pistols drawn, continuing to follow him, but they only put him down in the hunt or holstered him when they observed other officers walking towards this guy without their pistols drawn? So number one, we talk about officer-induced jeopardy quite a bit. How many of these officers put themselves in a position, ultimately, for Bruno to run up on scene after 7 minutes of this garbage and say, you guys are putting yourself at risk. You are putting me in a position to have to shoot this guy to stop this threat. The more I watch it, the more I'm on Bruno's side for this.
I agree. Go ahead. Nothing yet? Come on.
Not
yet. Yes. And the things that think people are missing are the perceived threat, the threat that already occurred. They're looking at that. I said in that reel, that CNN cops these days that look at that 16 seconds and go guilty. If you're policing like that, that's very scary. If you're not looking at if you're not taking a report and starting way before and way after and getting all the facts, and you just show up and go, well, this happened, I'm done. One of your biggest, I talked about it yesterday, was one of your things you brought up in George Floyd, because there was another incident similar, another death. I don't know if you saw it yet, up in Canton. A guy was on the ground. They left him unattended for about 5 minutes, face down, and he died. Similar, they didn't kneel on him for the whole time. But you said that the cops never took the opportunity to even see if a crime was committed. They just went right to George Floyd. And I see where you're coming from, but in this case, we have 7 minutes of terror in the community. Car
Correct.
struck with a bat, bus struck with a bat multiple times, and I'm sure they're transmitting on the radio. Sarge is on his way, like you said. He hears, he sees location changes. We're here, we're here, we're here. And then as he's running in his peripheral, he sees two of his officers move backwards quickly. I didn't run, but quickly move backwards, draw their guns as the guy raises the bat. I don't know what else you need. I don't know what else. Even if that's all you saw, like you said, your guys in fear, scrambling backwards and pulling guns. Threat. That's a threat. That means threat gets shot. I don't understand what the problem is.
With Dominick saying, people said that it's just a bat. It's just a bat. So now we're getting into this narrative of where we're applying like some degree of difference between a bat and a knife and a gun. And now we're going, it's a deadly weapon, but it's like a deadly weapon phase 1 and a deadly weapon phase 2. And it's almost like I can predict the next narrative being, well, there's 20 of you there, so you could have overtaken him. Yeah, you might have gotten hit with the bat, but I mean, would have hurt that bad. And I can see the next part being, well, you signed up for this. You signed up to have to get into physical squabbles with people that are armed with weapons that could cause remember, deadly force is not just for threats that can cause death. It's for threats that can cause great bodily harm. I don't have to die from it. And I don't have to be guaranteed to die from it. Great bodily harm is anything that's a permanent injury, right? From a TBI, concussion, there's a million things that could qualify as that. But to start suggesting that now I have to live through or accept or embrace that I might have to get hit with a bat because any force other than hugs are going to be ridiculed because of optics or the media. And this is going to absolutely cause an inaction epidemic from cops. And I don't think what civilians understand is that the law protects cops from inaction. So when you call a cop, like the crazy person that was on the Ring camera trying to get into the house, right? And the dude wasn't home. And he was on the Ring camera talking to him. He's like, let me in. Where's the daughter? Where's the girl? And he gets inside. The whole thing was all over the news. You have to watch some crazy dude in the house with potentially your wife and kid. And that cop has no duty to protect your wife or kid from a crazy person that might be using some weapon against them. There's no consequence. Maybe you get fired because of cowardice. They can go get a job at another agency, at a Home Depot. They can do a million other things, but they're not going to go to prison. And there are actually people in comments. There are real life people, whether they're doing it for rage, doesn't matter to me, but they're suggesting that like, well, what would you do in his shoes? I bet you do something different if you'd face an indictment. We are literally supporting the idea that we don't want cops to act, and we are somehow empathizing with them under the idea that they won't act out of fear of indictment. So we're saying that we're okay with cops considering themselves first, considering their fear of indictment, and putting themselves before your wife or child who's being assaulted with a deadly weapon, who's being battered, killed, whatever it is, raped, because, well, man, I didn't want to do anything because I was really afraid that I might get indicted. Hopefully you understand. And there are civilians that are supporting this idea. The whole point of being a cop and what was so noble about cops is that they ran towards gunfire when everyone ran away, or towards a threat when everyone ran away from it, despite the fact that nothing forced them to. And now you're going, it's okay, little fella. We understand if you don't want to take any action because you're scared of prison, because you know why? You're incompetent. You don't understand case law. You don't understand statute. You don't understand tactics, and you're completely incapable of getting on a stand and defending your actions. So it's okay if you don't do anything. I know my wife said, but at least you're not indicted. And people are supporting it.
To quote the great Steve, heroes don't have a duty to act. They're there for a pension and paycheck. And that, when we watched Uvalde, what did everybody say? Bunch of cowards. We watched a 7-minute, and it wasn't babies dying and kids getting shot, but we watched 7 minutes of, I would fire, if I worked, and it won't happen because it's liberal, I would fire everybody there. If I was in charge and you elected DIlks and Izzo for sheriff or whatever we were, I would go to you and say, Dominick, we have to fire that entire group of guys. They're gone.
That group of guys caused the problem.
Yes.
They caused the problem.
Yes.
And I have to wonder, based on what you just said too, Joe, how many people now, because now you kind of created a good argument. Well, any civilian or American citizen who protects themselves in their home, we're using the Second Amendment against somebody who breaks in their house with a baseball bat. Why? Just a baseball bat.
Right.
Yes. Big deal.
Yes, that is exactly right. Like if we say that a bat is not deadly force or doesn't rise to the level of deadly force, we are creating so many precedents. But what is even nuttier? What is even nuttier? Is that you have people that are defending a cop that punched a woman's head into the floor.
Here it was going. Yep.
Causing it to bounce off the floor. Unarmed, one hand behind the back, two cops absolutely incapacitating her. Still resisting, I'll give you that. Still resisting.
Fuck around, find out though.
Right. The fact that punching someone's head like a basketball off the floor is justified, but then using deadly force against and demonizing deadly force against someone who's armed with a deadly weapon, like wild times to be alive.
It's not the only one. In the last for about 3 months, we've had that one. The El Paso police beating the shit out of the girl they couldn't take into cuffs. You have 2 in Aurora, Colorado. The guy at the airport who couldn't take the one guy in custody, so he shoots him completely unarmed. Knew he was unarmed. Well, he could have posed a threat. The other guy who punched the guy, and then takes a stand, holds his fist up and shoots and kills him. Mustang, Oklahoma, rookie cop shoots a man who's wearing nothing but a pair of shorts, running at her with a pair of gloves in his hands. She can't identify when his hands shoots her, and the comment sections are, well. And then this is the worst shooting of my life. It is literally textbook shit they would teach you in the academy. I'm standing. You don't need anything else there. You have take everything else that happened, remove it, and just send a cop into a scenario training like we have in the academy. Hey, through that door. All right, you're just being dispatched here, and there's a guy with a baseball bat, and he knocked out his girlfriend. He said he's going to kill any cop he sees up on scene. He took a swing at 2 or 3 cars that were occupied by people. You walk in, you see him there with a baseball bat. I don't know a single person who would hesitate. Well, hey, let's talk about this, buddy. It should be my command presence announced it. There's a de-escalation, and then I'm going to shoot until the threat's eliminated. It was a justified shoot.
And in this case, if you, like you just said, if you got that call for, let's say no cops are there, Sarge is the first one there, and you got the call that dude did everything he just did, hit 2 cars, basically attempted carjacking, and he was the first one there, justified to kill him. Now you had 7 minutes of multiple officers observing his behavior that they can testify to what they observed, and we have body cam to show it, and they're saying not justified. It blows my mind. Now I'm going to play a video.
Even Magnano, who just 2 weeks ago, the same thing. Walking toward, you had 3 cops who did shit for minutes until he arrived. It's almost the exact same circumstance. Magnano and Bruno both get out of the car. They're listening to all this radio traffic. They run up on scene, do the job. They're both fired, and potentially both are facing criminal charges.
And I want to make another point. Because, no, these are ones that I keep seeing, and there's a misconception, a wild misconception, that an overt movement, and I want to preface it again by I am not saying this dude is justified or not justified. I'm just absolutely nauseous over the fact that this dude is being publicly convicted without all the evidence, without testimonies, without his articulation, which we all know is valuable, but just these talking points. I don't need, with the presence of other extenuating circumstances such as behavior, prior to behavior, all of those things. I don't need an overt movement towards me in order to justify my use of deadly force, because especially if the proximity is 10, 12, 13 feet. And the whole notion of what's that?
It was within 10 feet.
Right. And the whole notion of create distance and allow for more time. He's in public. He's already assaulted the public. The public comes before the suspect and before us. So to give him more space and to significantly minimize our ability to interfere with him hurting someone else because we're further away because we create distance is nuts. But if that close proximity exists, I don't have to wait for an overt movement, because what we understand about bullets and bodies is that the body is generally, historically, we have plenty of evidence to show that the body is unimpressed by bullets. So if I wait for the overt movement to start shooting, and that person with 1 bullet, 2 bullets, let's say I missed a couple because I only get a 32 out of 40 every time I qual every year, right? So probably not going to hit him with all my bullets, but I hit him with 1 or 2, and they're still advancing through the gunfire, through the bullets that are hitting them, because that has happened. I think the record for someone surviving being shot the most amount of times is somewhere in the range of 35 or 42 gunshot wounds and still survived. So the notion that if I shoot them, I have to wait for overt movement until the bat is coming towards my head. The idea that, well, you should wait until they do something to shoot them. I could already have lost my entire head.
Is it good enough? If the only condemnation or disagreement I would have had is if he had the bat in one hand and the bat was down in the ground, almost like a walking stick kind of thing, like he had it in the ground. He had that bat up in a position where it could have been swung at any time.
He just got done threatening them with it.
His words, I'm going to Babe Ruth one of you motherfuckers.
And he's actually armed. He has possession of a weapon, but let's consider incidences where suspects have been shot just for reaching for a weapon.
Or perceived.
Yes. Jackson, Florida. Look at Jackson, Florida, right? The black guy, inclement weather, doesn't want to get out of the car. Look at everybody who justified that, right? Oh, he had a knife. They take a picture of a large serrated knife that was on the floorboard of his vehicle. At no time in any video whatsoever does it ever look like he had furtive movement for that knife, and everybody's justifying the use of force because potentially he could have reached down and got that knife. So it's just the amount. I would just say this. I'm very impressed with YouTube commenters, but Instagram and Facebook are full of very, very stupid human beings. And the amount of
they're sheep.
Oh my, they're stupid. They're very dumb. And the amount of Instagram talking head blue check marks out there. This is the worst shooting I've ever seen. Really? Why? I cannot think of another circumstance where you would be. And again, I want to hear what Bruno has to say. I want to hear what he's got to say as far as young.
Kind of important.
Bro, the blue line, the brotherhood. We cooked the fucking dude. The entire internet and Instagram cops cooked their buddy with a 16-second video. Fuck him, bury him, move on to the next one.
Does it matter?
The brotherhood.
Hindsight doesn't matter, but does it matter if Bruno has been to that guy's house 5 times over the last 2 years?
Yes.
And every time that guy says, hey, I'm going to kill you one of these days. Does that matter?
Yes, it does. History, known history. Known history absolutely plays into the equation.
Yeah. So I have a video, and it's in another country. Now, the big argument was taser, right? We should have used tasers. Nobody had one. He had one, but by the time he saw what he saw, I'm obviously good with what he did. There were 17 cops. Non-issued. And there was only supervisors.
Supervisors. How the fuck is that possible? No long gun? Not even a shotgun?
Very few issued to the agency. Not many. Not every officer has a long gun. No one has a taser but supervisors. Obviously, no canine or no dog arrived. So you got every guy that walked around had no taser.
I think it's in over 200. In over 200 officers that they have, only 25 people have long guns.
I wouldn't even. Why would it? I can't stand risking the canine for shit like that. Why would we send the poor dog, which is somebody who had a bat and hit that thing? Fuck that.
I agree. So here we're going to look at this is in France, and it's not the same. This is a sword, but we broke it down last week. If I go in the room and you give me an option of a bat and a knife, I'm picking the bat 100% of the time because I can reach out and touch you. Sword, yes, it can slash you, it can stab you. Bat and sword, they're in the ballpark, right? So this is a guy armed with a sword. This is all tasers. This is all tasers. This is all tasers, and let's watch what happens. So if you look, the guy is in the parking garage with the sword. He's not advancing. He's minding his business. He's going to get tased first. Doesn't work. Sword for you, sword for you. Wish. Only works third person application. So let's go back one more time. Watch my. We don't need the noise.
Sounds like France.
It is taser, sword for you. That could have been the bat.
They are so lucky. That's what's called a display sword. That's the only reason why they're not cut right now. That's the ones you get online for like $59. They're not sharp at all. If that was something from like a legitimate, so like a $500 one, they wouldn't have had an arm.
So let's pretend that's very dull, right? So it's an impact weapon. It's not going to cut your arm off. Very similar to a bat. So what do? They go taser first. Doesn't work. What does the guy do when he gets tased? He advances. Now imagine that same scenario. One guy tries to tase him. There's only one taser there. Now he's advancing at you with a bat, and you have to navigate shooting him while moving with 17 fucking cops standing around and a backdrop of the city.
Hey, I got a question. Wait, there's 20 cops on scene, right? And I'll mock it. Oh, everybody's pushing BJJ. Well, which one are you BJJ?
You could have tackled. There were times, and I agree. There were times he could have, I think, easily been tackled if they wanted to.
Jiu-jitsu is a tool like anything else.
I'm just saying,
it's a tool.
The idiots.
No, we don't train. We don't train the bat though.
That's we do. The issue I have is the morons who did say, you guys can't. There's 20 of you, and there's one of him. You can't just go. Did nobody watch The Walking Dead? I told Mike, I said I could only watch that episode with Negan splitting their head open once. It was so fucking disturbing.
Well, like I said to you too, like the argument that there's 20 of you there, so you outnumber him with one person, and so therefore deadly force is off the table. Then in every scenario where 30 SWAT dudes show up to a scene and there's only one person, nobody should ever get shot ever again. Because there's 30 SWAT dudes on scene. So what are you doing? You clearly out ability them.
Here's a question from Fumasa. I'll let you guys handle it. I got a question. So the officer's use of force continuum gets escalated much faster based upon suspect to officer ratio, i.e. one officer to 3 or 4 suspects. Would that justify deadly force?
What is he?
He means saying basically if there's 3 or 4 suspects and one cop, would you escalate faster to deadly force?
You could.
If one cop, 2, 3, or 4 suspects. I mean, if there were 3 or 4 guys holding bats, shit, mag dump and reload.
Well,
what are you talking about?
But even if there's not a weapon, and it's the same is true. Listen, I am not suggesting that the fact that there are more officers versus suspects doesn't go into the equation. However, when armed with a deadly weapon, that immediately transitions the nature of resistance from passive if you don't have a weapon, if you're just standing there, to aggressive / deadly when you do have a weapon. And not only are you just allegedly standing there, you've already shown a propensity for violence with the bat. You've verbally refused to put it down, and you've shown intent or verbalized intent to use it again. We move out of the level of resistance where it's passive or active, where the number of cops does matter, where if someone's only passively or actively resisting and there's 3 cops versus 1 suspect, that you wouldn't be able to escalate to deadly force. However, if you have 3 or 4 subjects jumping a cop, beating the crap out of cop, can you be killed with bare hands? Obviously. So the absence of a weapon doesn't immediately absolve the likelihood of great bodily harm. Remember, you don't have to die. Great bodily harm to the cop, which would escalate to deadly force.
Yeah, the second part was he was saying, like, does it flip flop for the suspect? Obviously, if it was a 4-foot female unarmed and 9 cops, we're not going to be able to do much.
Well, but
anybody with a weapon, there's no rule that says we have to go get hit with a bat 2 or 3 times before we're able to go hands on. You don't have to even start down that road. You can go right to the top.
I would assume that all the qualities of the officers are the same. That's the problem. So you got 8 cops versus 1 person. Well, you're assuming that 7 of them aren't just completely useless like the ones that showed up on that scene. And yeah, to your point, last time I checked, unarmed does not mean not dangerous.
Right.
That's a quick.
Oh yeah, there's that one. Yep.
Yeah.
That's another one. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a shot. Everyone's jumping on that one.
Yeah. I mean, that happened here. Evictions. The whole evictions. Yeah. That goes down that whole road of where I almost agree with the communist that comes on is corporate America evicting, over mortgages and all that stuff and the man. And then it's always back down to the cops. The judge signs the eviction order for whatever reason. And the bad boy cop has to go.
I'm not understanding what the argument is.
He's just saying that
there's a police officer who shot the other day, sheriff.
Right. Yes. Right, but what's the issue? What's people's issues with the evictions? Like, what's the argument?
The deep state banking industry running people out of their homes, jacking up rates, and not being able to pay their bills. Like, it's just you got to go down that road if you're going to go down a road once in a while. That's all it is. obviously you have to listen to the cops if they're lawfully there and they do have an eviction notice, and it creates a much more hostile scene when you're telling somebody, hey man, you're done, you're living on the streets.
So I'm just confused. Are we not allowed? We don't have to pay our mortgage and we can still stay here? Are we good?
You're going too deep into it.
Oh, okay.
You got to go conspiracy theory.
If we're not paying mortgages anymore, I'm in.
We're going conspiracy theory that there's a certain group behind the banking industry that's evicting people and
right. Well, that's a completely separate category.
You have to listen to cops.
Completely separate. Right. You don't get to just shoot at cops because you don't agree with deep state banks and nonsense.
All right. We're going to do something this week. I put the phone number up, 772-217-5453. If you'd like to call in, we can take some calls. I didn't do the dishes today. I didn't have to.
The other male in the house did the dishes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good for them.
What did I do? Did I do anything today? Oh.
Super annoying.
I worked all day.
No, I got my blood drawn yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Yesterday. Because I'm on TRT and they keep suggesting that you have to have every 3 months as a guy, you should have your blood drawn because it thickens and this and that kind of stuff. So all that kind of stuff. I found out like how dehydrated I am. Not from that, but I'm on, I'm like, all right, I feel like I got thick motor oil running through my system because I've been on test for 12 years, never had blood.
1 second.
Don't do any blood.
Good.
And so I get back home and I'm like, man, my blood pressure was high. So my blood pressure was before I got there. I was on social media. So my blood pressure was 155 over 104. Like you can't donate if it's over, 100. So I'm like, all right. So I waited 10 minutes and it was 155 over 89. So I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. So I'm like, how do I lower my blood pressure? And I'm on ChatGPT. Says, well, how much water are you drinking? I said, coffee. So next thing you know, I'm on the scale. I was 238. I didn't know how much water weighs. I drank 50 flow ounces of water inside of an hour, ballooned me up to 241. I was just so fucking dehydrated.
Yeah, that's why the UFC fighters chew ice like for 2 days before the fight to cut their weight. They like chew towels with ice in it to get their hydration. All right, we got our first call in. Let's get CC there.
I'm here.
All right, you're on. Please don't say the words. What do you got?
Well, I did want to start with saying I give Dom the pass. Dom, you have the pass to say whatever goddamn word you want.
I'm gonna tell you.
Hey,
I need your permission. Have you ever seen True?
Please, no.
Please,
next episode.
I'm blacker than you are.
All right. Anyway,
I wanted to have JoJo and Dom in there. I wanted to get their take on what they think of all the states enacting safety acts to have the National Guard augment the policing and the federal government bringing different federal agencies like the IRS, CIs, DSS, marshals into these inner cities to kind of bring down the crime problem.
I think it's exactly what
I
think it's exactly what people ordered. I think they're saying the result of defund the police, lower hiring standards, lower training standards, where the local police potentially are not able to do the job, but all kind of like potentially by orchestration and by deliberate act, so that people can bring in those entities, maybe intentionally.
I know what Dom thinks, but go ahead, Dom.
I said it a couple of weeks ago on your show. I think that this is what's happening. If you asked me 5-10 years ago about the whole federalizing the police, I said, you're out of your mind. Now I think it's exactly where things are going. And what quality, if we can't get quality in law enforcement, and I do see a little bit of like the TikTok cops and then the TikTok nurses, TikTok fire people, TikTok military. How do we know National Guard isn't full of subpar people too doing the same shit? I don't know. Bottom line is,
well, my take is they're not trained. I mean, we saw the issues with ICE, and ICE, fell apart right in front of our eyes with tactics and I mean, the shootings were both questionable. One I'm kind of okay with, the other one I don't know, but they were very questionable. Obviously, caused a lot of problems. But we fast tracked people through that program because of the previous administration defunding that program, and then we fast tracked everybody through. It seems like we're fast tracking cops through, but if you look at the National Guard, I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but it's not like active duty military. These guys are sometimes weekends, 1 weekend a month, and now you put them in a city where how many National Guard have trained in being called a cracker, motherfucker, this, that, all the arguments you're going to get in, and they're sending them to the worst places. They're not going to suburban America. They're going to Memphis. They're going to Chicago. They're going to DC. Have they ever been talked to like that? Have they been prepared to be talked to like that? Do they know the rules of engagement very well?
To be fair, I don't think the people that are fresh out of the academy are prepared to be talked to like that either.
No, I guess, but they've had some level of like for the constitutional training. You're talking about dudes that swore in and wanted to shoot guns and jump out of airplanes and all this other stuff, and now they're in the middle of the city with rifles. It's pretty wild.
I will say though, and I can speak from my own experience, there's a large number of people who are on the guard side that are either local LEOs or federal LEOs. That doesn't mean that everybody that they're bringing there is, one of those niches, but that definitely is something to look at, because I think, next you got coming forward would be the question of, okay, well, is this something where we're going to bring in something like the Insurrection Act and then just bring it to all the inner cities and show the people who are voting, like, look, it was that fucking easy. You see how I just did this? Why wasn't your police state unit or whatever doing the same thing? And that will be something that'll change that voting pattern for sure. Because Chicago is getting super Republican if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Super
the problem-
Republican? Did you say super Republican?
Yeah, there's a lot of black people right now. Yeah, there's a lot of black people, believe it or not, in Chicago who are going up to that mayor, whatever the fuck his name is, Mayor Johnson, and they're shitting on him in all the public forums.
That doesn't mean that if you know anything about Chicago politics, they will back whatever salesman comes along on the Democrat side. Nobody runs Republican in Chicago, even as a mayor.
I think they're turning like anti that guy, because I've seen a lot of videos where people
that's what I'm saying.
They're saying you're putting immigrants in front of your own people here in the city, and I know that became a problem. But the other thing that this creates is kind of like we saw with ICE. If the National Guard does something wild, everybody just goes, well, it's a National Guard. Like, who actually does anything about it? Like, we have never heard another word about those two shootings. Mm-hmm. They came, they were the hottest topic in the world for weeks. What's the update? What happened? They're just gone. If that was local police, you saw how long the George Floyds and all the other ones took, years to get rid of. You have the two shootings back to back. You don't even know what the status is.
I'm surprised they could still be charged on. Those are liberal towns too. They could be charged state charges.
Correct.
And I'm surprised they weren't.
Nothing. You don't even know the status of them. Has anybody heard any status on either shooting?
It is surprising. Yeah. But then again, you also have to think, do those people want to go against the feds?
That's what I'm saying. So that's the I think the argument Dom's making is eventually it's going to be all feds, and then it's like, who goes against them? How do you go against them?
It rings eerily similar to there being no oversight of elected officials, right? Like through the House Bill 7041, where there's no way to hold elected officials accountable unless you witness the corruption or violation of the law with your own eyes, or you were present for it, because it's hearsay.
Due to the current administration, they're going to be shoot them all, right? I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This current administration is not going to stop ICE from doing what they're doing. They're gonna sugarcoat every one of them.
He's literally doing Jesus's work.
I saw him. He was literally the Pope at one point, or Jesus himself.
Oh, that was Jesus. That was Jesus.
He said it was a doctor. He said he was a doctor.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, look at the Pope right now. The Pope is condemning Israel in the U.S., but then backing Hamas. It's fucking crazy.
And he's from Chicago.
He's from Chirac.
He is from Chirac.
Yep.
Well, CC, I appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks for all the support.
Always.
All right, man.
I'll see you boys.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Watermelon. What happened?
No, stop. Anybody else wants to call in? 772-217-5453. Nobody else can call in and give Dom the pass. No passes.
Wait, what'd you say, Dominic?
I said you can let a couple of black guys drive next time.
He's a good dude, man. He comes to the studio.
If anybody's ever seen True Romance, that's all the backing I'll ever need.
I thought the Pope was from Chicago, and then they pluck him out of Chicago. No, Steve says he's from New Orleans.
No, he's from Chicago.
He was in Chicago when they plucked him.
He's from Chicago.
When they threw the smoke up, right? The smoke goes out the chimney, and
the white smoke. Or more Catholic traditions, satanic. Sorry if anybody who's Catholic, like I was.
If
you're putting your faith and your doctrine above the Bible, it's literally satanic. Show me one place where the Bible says pray to Mary. I challenge you.
Yeah, there's somebody else I had on recently that said it was one of our guests that said he was raised Catholic and then was like, no, I can't do that anymore. And he went to just Christian.
My entire life.
Then they said, well, Christians are Catholic, or Catholics are Christian. Well, I'm not smart enough for any of that.
Christians.
Yeah.
I can't.
What do you got?
doctrine?
Opinions. What do you got?
Opinions. We need arguments, please. 217-772-217-5453.
Someone argue with
Call and argue. You will be. This will be extended.
Yeah, there's
hot
gotta be
topic.
people who wind up disagreeing with the shooting. For love of God, don't have a pair. Call in. Yeah, it's as simple as that. I want to hear what you guys
It's
have
like
to
the
say.
dunk tank, but the argument tank. It's great.
You know, let me. I'll read some of.
Here, we got that other video. I mean, this is a big one. Where
What's
is
that?
it? The one I'm sure you haven't seen it. It's Canton, Ohio. I'll play it for you. It's
Here's
Go ahead.
these are some comments to the. So these are some comments on the shooting. Some guy American hitchhiker says the shoot to kill versus shoot to wound debate, which I've never fucking heard because you don't do either in law enforcement. You shoot to eliminate a threat. Feels way too black and white for me. When someone is carrying a bat instead of a firearm, that distinction has to mean something. There's a huge middle ground between stopping a threat and jumping straight to lethal force. If there's any way to neutralize a situation without taking a life, that has to be the goal. Cases like this just prove how easily judgment can fall when we stop looking for alternatives. That is my definitive argument all the fucking time when we get idiots like Grady Judd, and I understand that one sheriff was emotional. You know, you got what he deserved, hitting him with a car. When you have sheriffs or police chiefs or anybody or even cops who do that, right? Well, yeah, we shot that motherfucker graveyard dead. That wasn't your intent. Your intent was to put projectiles into a person to get them to drop a bat, and they dropped the bat successfully. If they died because of their injuries, not my fucking problem. That whole glorification of violence is exactly what causes people like this in the comment section to lose their fucking minds.
And good.
I don't disagree with you at all on it is not our job to issue punishment. That's not what we're here for. That requires some level of like the trial due process that we're not there for. We're there to establish probable cause for a crime, subdue and apprehend somebody, take them to jail, and let them go through their process. But punishment implies that there's some sort of personal investment in the situation. And I kind of said, we said it the other day with the guy that died as a result of, because the fact that he resisted and he was left to lay there and I can't breathe and that whole thing. But when someone fights you and they tell you that they can't breathe or they need water, whatever it is they're complaining about, and you have some response like, well, you shouldn't have ran or you shouldn't have fought, that now turns from this is a business transaction, because it is. You ran. My job is to catch you. That's a transaction. It's a business relationship. It's an understanding. And when I tell you that you shouldn't have done something or else you wouldn't be experiencing whatever pain or medical event you might be going through, then I'm now putting on the hat of a parent, or I'm establishing that you earned it or deserved it, or you should think about that next time you do that. That's not part of what that transaction's about, right? You committed a crime, potentially. I think you did. I have probable cause that you did. You ran, I caught you. If I had to use force in order to apprehend you, that's one thing. But once I have apprehended you, I can't continue to justify your suffering because of some action you did to get away from me, which is exactly what you're supposed to do, because that's what 99.9% of criminals do, is try not to go to jail.
So I want to play this one I don't think you've seen this yet, Dominick. What she's referencing is this video. This is out of Canton, Ohio. This is a call for service at some type of establishment where they asked the guy to leave. He refused to leave, and this is what unfolds.
Please get him out of here now.
I ain't leaving there. No, we're going outside. We're going outside.
No, you ain't killing me. You ain't killing me tonight. You ain't killing me. No, you guys gotta kill me. They're on here. They're trying to kill me. 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 Why you trying to kill me? They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. You're killing the sheriff's department. Call the sheriff's department. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. Call the sheriff. 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 They're trying to kill me. Call the sheriff.
Get on the fucking ground.
Call the sheriff. 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 They're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me.
You're gonna get sprayed.
I'll get called sheriff.
You're gonna get sprayed. Don't spray.
Call the sheriff.
Don't spray him.
Call the sheriff. They're gonna kill me. Call the sheriff. Call the sheriff.
I got it. Here it goes. Got it. You want that one? Say when. You're good. Good. Knees over hand.
So I will point out at this point you have the knee across the back, right?
So
Not a problem with it. He's still resisting, so we're good. Just that's going to be you'll see what happens though.
Get over me. Okay.
Calm down. Calm down.
Get ready.
2029. Stop fighting.
I can't breathe. I can't. I can't. Get off my neck. I can't breathe.
That's historic right there. I'll be glad I was for you. Okay.
Okay, so like 30, 45 seconds across, but there's a very important thing you're getting ready to see that I didn't notice the first time I watched it.
I can't breathe.
You're fine.
Yep, good.
Shut the fuck up. You're good. Appreciate you guys.
So he said he couldn't breathe multiple times. This is 5 minutes later.
All right.
He was left unattended on the ground. And to speed it up, he's dead. So
that's not. I have to wonder too how many people are purposely jacking themselves up on God knows what substance, and then purposely causing a problem because they know they're going to get killed.
his the autopsy was homicide, cocaine, asphyxiation, and heart attack.
No asphyxiation. He could breathe. There was no fucking asphyxiation.
The problem with that one is he was left without calling for an ambulance or unattended, face down on the ground, non-moving for 5 minutes.
We call it incarceritis. I can't breathe. We know you don't want to go to jail. I need rescue. Okay. And we're always like, okay, well, I'm going to get 5 hours of overtime now because I'm going to go to the hospital and sit with you until the nurses clear you. So it's incarceritis. They don't want to go to jail. That's anytime somebody calls, and we were told all the time, somebody calls for ambulance, call it immediately.
Right. So I made this point, and this is I'm passionate about this point. It's a really special point for me because it takes a higher level of intelligence and awareness, in my opinion, to really understand it. It's such an old school phrase and I got it twisted the other day. If you can talk, you can breathe. Right? We've heard that. If you can talk, then you can breathe. So then we are equating those two. We're saying if one is happening, then the other one is happening, then that is a measure of viability. Would you agree? Viability meaning your ability to be alive.
No, I'm not going to commit to an answer on that one.
Okay. So, but people that's the point of that phrase though, where he says, be quiet, you're fine, shut the fuck up. Right.
I would never say that because I'm not a doctor.
Right. But we have heard that so many times. If you can talk, you can breathe as some sort of measure of viability. So if that's what we're going with, by the time that person stops talking, what else has happened?
Stop breathing.
Which means they've
Probably died.
Right. So if we can ever think back to a time where we've been in some wrestling match or we've been just goofing around, dogpiling with a friend when we were kids or whatever it was, and 10 of our friends got on top of us and we were telling them.
Oh, where's Cece? Yeah. We call it something else out here.
So hold on, my point that I still want to make, because this is very important. I want cops to stop saying it because it's ignorant. You have told your friends, I can't breathe, right? Where it sounded, I can't breathe. Like, you guys, I can't breathe. And you couldn't. The fact that you were communicating that you couldn't breathe doesn't mean that you can. It means the breath is running out and I've got a limited amount of time before I'm going to pass out and die. The fact that I'm communicating to you that I can't breathe doesn't mean that my viability has maintained some level of homeostasis. Like, oh, you're fine, you're breathing. That's not true. Stop saying it. It's stupid. It's just stupid.
Reason. It goes back to what you were saying about punishment. They got the handcuffs on. They're all frustrated. Shut the fuck up. Blah, blah, blah. I think it was Houston. I watched it. The Houston video, I think 2017, was the guy who was having a panic attack, called police and said, I'm having a manic episode. I didn't take my meds, this and that. They showed up to take him into custody and ultimately knelt on him until he died. It was horrible.
In this case, and what Pride Assassin is saying, I get it. I have no problem with everything about the custody. In custody, everything is fine. But you might as well marry that guy. You own him more than you own your children. From the second the handcuffs go on, he is the most important person on God's earth for the rest of your life, your freedom, your safety, everything. Your job and world relies on him. You cannot let him die face down on the ground in handcuffs because you didn't check on him or give him an ambulance. And you can motherfuck him I don't even have a problem motherfucking him the whole way. The second the cuffs are on, you have to go to
what's the word? What is the word? It's the C word when you have somebody in cuffs. What is it? They're in your
custody. So
literally.
But just so people don't understand, this is not an opinion. This is once again referencing Castle Rock versus Gonzalez and Lozita versus New York, where the person was stabbed and cops didn't do anything, and it was ruled that they didn't have to do anything. That all is true, except in 3 special circumstances, 3 special relationships. One of those relationships is custody. So once they're in their custody, they are in your custody. You can no longer have a deliberate indifference about their health or any claims that they're having about their health. That person says they can't breathe. It takes nothing. It's no skin off your balls to set them up in a better breathing position. It doesn't hurt you. It does nothing. It doesn't take, other than your ego, and that maybe you feel like you're being bossed around by the person you just arrested. Get over it. It takes nothing to set them up and put them in a breathing position.
Well, we called rescue so quick, so they were no longer in our custody. They were now under the care of rescue. And God forbid something happened. Oh, that's not our fault. God,
just look at the contrast. Uvalde, kids dying, no charges, can't be charged, no duty. Man in handcuffs that fought you the whole time. You leave him alone for 5 minutes and you're arrested. That is the gravity of in custody. The fight doesn't matter. Do whatever you got to do to get them in custody. The second they are in custody, they are as important as anybody on earth to you, and it's negligent to leave him. And that was my argument about Derek Chauvin. I don't think he committed murder. I think he was negligent in his.
He tortured him.
Action.
Yeah, what he did, he was, like I said a million times, it was almost like he shot a lion on the Serengeti and was kneeling for a picture for 9 minutes. It was the worst optics on the fucking planet.
It was. I still don't think he said, I'm going to kill this guy. I think he was shell shocked and he was caught up and he wasn't very smart.
What he did was worse. What he did was 100% worse. He tortured him. I fucking said that a million times.
That's always a great topic. But this one's very similar. This got all the optics of I can't breathe.
Well, he just wasn't kneeling, but it wasn't necessarily. So here's an interesting kind of caveat. Was it the kneeling that caused the death of George Floyd? We'll never really actually know. But this guy, they stopped kneeling on him, and he still died.
Dude, it was the fentanyl and it was the coke. Coke is
right
speed, right? I can't imagine what it would be like to do a fucking line then try to run around the block. I would die immediately. So now you got a guy who is clearly overweight, obese. He looked like in his 60s, and then he's going to exert himself. Fighting is exerting for 2 minutes. Not even, maybe that was a 60-second. So his heart is going to go like ape shit crazy, and it's not going to come down. So it wasn't. It was him.
They never showed us.
But this is similar. Let's say I arrest that guy in the middle of the road, and let's say he doesn't have any drugs in his system. But let's say I arrest this guy in the middle of the road, put handcuffs on him, and I leave him there, and he gets run over.
Yeah, your responsibility, your fault.
Right. How is this any different? He literally told you he couldn't breathe. He told you, if I tell you, like, I have shortness of breath, I can't breathe, I start having a seizure, I'm bleeding profusely from an organ, and you're just like, you'll probably be fine. Shut the fuck up.
What were they doing? Getting witness statements and shit?
I would assume that's what they keep asking in the chat. I can only assume they only cut that's where we have to get more context, obviously, but barring another absolute natural disaster or babies dying in the other room, there's nothing is more important than making sure your suspect is.
I don't get
alive.
They're yours. You own them. And what do they tell the employee? Because that would look like it was a pool hall. You could tell by the carpet or a bowling alley. But it was like, what are they going to do? Tell the guy who was helping them, hey, just keep an eye on him. That was a bad call. That's a bad.
There was a guy kicked up in the corner. If it keeps going, there's some heavy set dude kind of plunged in the corner that looks like he's in charge as a civilian of like monitoring the guy.
This is another reason why we need more security at places. Like, I don't know about you guys, but Mike and I are the same age. We went to The bars. We didn't go there, but I'm sure that back in your day when you went to the bars in your 20s, if you fucked around, you got tooled up by doormen, or you used to watch doormen get tooling people up. And then the 2000s came, and all of a sudden, doormen were getting arrested for beating people up and keeping the peace at bars. So to be honest, it's like these bars, restaurants, even fucking McDonald's, security guards are not allowed to do shit. They're not. Anytime they're engaging in somebody, you see a security guard arrested or shit. So it's like, these corporations, even a mom and pop place, you want people removed, do it your fucking self or hire people.
But and yet even these security guard, I think private security should be illegal, but they have guns, they have tasers, they have handcuffs, they have all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's going to be, once that like there's going to be a moment where like bad things happen as a result of private security, and then someone's going to go,
owners,
who allowed this to happen?
I don't know how it is in your state. Well, it has to be in your state, Illinois. Again, business owners can have their firearms on them in their businesses. I got to get that law right. I know we were talking about that.
Here in Florida, you can carry it in public. Everybody can carry one.
So there's really no difference if you own a bar or a restaurant or whatever, guys, or doing whatever, and you end up using your pistol on them. It's no different than security.
Yeah. Have you been following the security agency? I've been blasting on my story. You got to watch my story.
Oh.
One of the last ones I posted. There's some wild security agency somewhere that makes the worst content. And they have like captains and lieutenants. It's just crazy.
They're dangerous fucking people.
And the chief is on there today that posted. He's walking around some parking lot with no gun. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like
my sergeant, we went to some call one day, and I forget what it was. I was brand new and on midnights. And my sergeant, we're talking outside, summertime, and there's a car on the side of the road, and he looks and he points in. There's a security guard's uniform, like the shirt on a hanger in the rear view, in the rear, like where you'd hang your suit jacket or something. And it clearly was so somebody could display. It's like it's almost like you're showing off, right? Whatever. And he goes, "These are the most dangerous people in the world." And I never really understood what he meant until time went on. Yeah, security guards are fucking insane because they think they're cops and they think they can do all this shit.
And you think cops are poorly trained.
Oh, they're
so you have this inflated sense of authority that's not backed by anything and a lack of training. Like, man, we're fucked.
It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So
I'm not going anywhere that has a security guard. I'm leaving immediately.
Capitalism. You want a business, you want to own it, then do the fucking work yourself. Throw people out. Stop calling the police for shit.
Well, we talked about on here before that most of our shitty calls we see are calls cops shouldn't have to be at anyway. I mean, there's a huge disaster unfolding. I don't know if you've seen it yet. Lee County had a shooting. What's his name? There was a Lee County shooting.
Any sheriff?
The gentleman's name is, I got it right here. Up on the screen.
It's Lake County.
Lake County. I'm sorry. Is it Lake?
It says Lake.
Oh,
in Florida.
Here. Shift screen. Lake County. Boom.
Don't forget to watch.
No, we're good. We're there. We're there. So Lake County has a shooting, and it's just kind of breaking now. Oh, this is up here. And this sounds like a call where there was some type of scuffle and somebody not involved in it called in. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. The family is protesting.
Oh, is this the one, the guy got stabbed, the Marine?
No, this isn't the Marine. This is two gentlemen that some type of fight happened. And somebody else called 911, said there's been a stabbing. They show up and end up killing this kid.
Oh, and then you said this. You did, and then the family said no, we didn't want him arrested or anything.
Yes. And now it's come. I see a little bit more coming out that the caller wasn't a family member. Yeah, they're saying he wasn't armed, and now they're saying that the stab wound was actually a very small.
Oh, that's because they want dollar signs.
That not only that, but like I tried to explain on Facebook when I was commenting, is the cop's not responsible for somebody's ill intentions or bad information when it comes to calling in a call. You're going to a stabbing. You're at a certain level of like a stabbing, and it's not the cop's fault to approach the stabbing in a way with a gun out, ready to go. Things happen very quickly. The only thing I will say is they released the body camera of the tending to the gentleman. They did not release the body camera of the actual incident, which in my conspiracy world seems a little strange. If you have it, it's already there. Why wouldn't you just go ahead and show everybody how good it was? But I don't know. I'm not going to judge it. I haven't seen it yet, but
Scientists. No, there were 2 future doctors.
shh, I'm going to talk about that.
That's such a safe show.
I have to.
Did you ever respond to the trouble? Did you guys ever back up rescue on calls?
Yeah, that's all we do. Yeah, well, they won't go first without us.
Yeah, they'll tell us to come.
Did you guys ever get the ones who are you show up trouble breathing, and mom is there and she's putting her coat on in here to be putting a coat on, and she's getting her 5 kids all ready to walk out to the ambulance because it's a free taxpayer taxi ride to the 3 towns over the rescue, and you just go, oh yeah, look at that. I give you a one guess what culture that does that.
They're saying the deputy didn't turn. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry. I did see that today. No body cam.
Deputy didn't turn his camera on, nor did he have his overhead lights, which would have been activated body camera.
But I'm not a conspiracy guy, but that happens on critical incidents. If you don't turn your lights on, like usually we're running code to that kind of stuff. If you're not, you got to remember to get out and turn your body camera on. And it is possible in that high situation like that.
There's tons of reasons why you wouldn't turn your overhead lights on. He could have been 2 blocks away. What's the point of turning your lights on? Body camera, unless people are, and I never thought to do it, but it's like, okay, open door, left hand, right hand, go right to chest, then get out. I never practiced that motor skill to do that. So, I mean, unless people are doing that over and over and over again to make it just a completely natural habit, I mean, shit, you're going to make mistakes every now and then. That's why I think the body camera should be running 24/7.
I thought you sued against that.
If I had known about it, I would have been fine.
Yeah, I guess you're right. What do you think of the did you see the guy get caught on the dating site at the scene?
You were SWAT, right?
Yes.
I was not. I was NIPUS. It was a bastard stepchild version of it, all that shit. Not disrespecting NIPUS guys, but every call, even in law enforcement, being a patrol officer, hurry up and wait. I couldn't care less what he was doing. If he was sitting there, it's a petty bullshit.
Well, and somebody asked, why are they linked together? Axon owns everything. So Axon owns the car cameras now. Axon owns your taser. Axon owns your body camera. So most agencies have Axon. So it has a sensor. If you turn your lights on, it automatically activates anything. If you turn your taser on, it automatically activates everything. It even has that sphere around you. So if you're standing on the side of the road not doing anything, I've had it happen. I'm like at Wawa. When the guys goes by with their lights on, he's close enough to me. It turns my body camera on because Axon's sending out a signal all around a beacon signal around the device to turn all the other body cameras on.
Oh, there's even your partner's turning on their taser, drawing your gun.
Yep.
There's the feature where if you draw your gun, it turns the body camera on. There's a ton of
Axon, the big brother. Because I think behind the scenes, that's what they're putting. I mean, they're going to hammer this New Jersey town with that bat. If Axon's smart, I'm sure they are. They're crooked as shit. I think they're going to go up there and be like, man, if you guys had tasers, this wouldn't have happened. And then they're going to guilt everybody into buying them.
We just talked about that, right? Where it's like the level of effectiveness the taser doesn't have. And Axon is its own company for tasers now, right? Because I only own new Taser International.
No, it's Axon. Axon owns everything. Everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So if that's the case, then shit, I had an argument a couple days ago. Fuck, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it was, if Taser is so successful, then why is it A, not considered a deadly force option, and B, why is it so faulty? So I want to see how Taser is going to wind up qualifying their statement. Yeah, you guys had 20 guys on scene, only one Taser. Number one, we could have saved you, but then again, Taser, we have all these repeated videos of Taser failing, and it's not considered a deadly weapon system. And that goes back to the fucking Dollar Tree shooting with Phoenix. It's like you get zapped and and you get up and you pump a few rounds into somebody. Wasn't deadly force justified? I fucking hate the Taser.
The Taser created, and that's where I know we'll argue, and we don't have to, about jiu-jitsu or any type of controlling element, any type of controlling martial arts, whatever it may be. But we came through hands-on. We were hands-on. We went hands-on for everything. There was.
What did you have? You had a pistol, an OC, and baton.
That's it. And OC, I never used it once.
That's horrible.
I used my baton, like Tyler said, to scratch my back, to stuff it in people's mouth over eating cocaine, and like break windows. I never used it to hit anybody. But the Taser created that false sense of like He-Man strength. Like, we got it now. We got a taser. We can just zap everybody and everybody's going to go down. And ironically, that first version to me was more effective than every version after. That old big ass taser we had seemed to work better than all of them, as long as you kept your batteries in, because you actually put AA batteries in it. But
did you ever see the video that sold us all on the taser?
No.
The
big guy.
Big guy.
Yeah,
He's shorter than me.
I thought it was a big muscular guy or somebody that the monster like fighter.
Hans Marrero. Anybody wants to look it up? What sold us all back then? Hans Marrero. You couldn't choke him out. You couldn't punch him. He was this deadly fucking Marine. But when you tased him, he dropped like a fucking sack of bricks. And we all went, "Oh my god, we got to use it."
And it was in a controlled environment, perfectly placed to be incapacitating. And now we're seeing it doesn't penetrate. Big jackets, sweater. People miss with it. It's
you know what the taser is? The taser is a modern day cell phone. I can't remember anybody's cell phone numbers. I need a calculator for shit. I need my GPS. The cell phone has made me stupid. Taser has made cops inept.
But I'll even go back to everything fails. The gun fails when you shoot someone and they still advance to you and stab you in the jugular despite having 3 bullet holes in them. Right. So it's just this over reliance, whether it's effectiveness is fluid, right? Whatever constitutes effectiveness, but it's also a problem with critical thinking and deliberate application of what level of force is appropriate for the level of resistance that I'm experiencing and the circumstances that are in front of me. And instead of me going, this is the level of resistance, this is the crime, this is the subject factor I have, and this is the level of force I'm going to use as almost a mathematical equation, and not just the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I pick you today, Pikachu, to be the level of force I'm going to use on this person. There's no deliberate thought process in the tool that's used, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a deliberate application of a tool, regardless of whether it's your hands, it's jiu-jitsu, it's Muay Thai, it's boxing. I don't care if it's a gun, it's a taser, pepper ball, doesn't matter. 40 millimeter, there should be a deliberate application of this is the information I'm getting and processing and assessing, and this is the level of force I'm using as a direct response to the information I'm receiving.
And I'm going to leave it with this. I'm going to leave it with this. We talk about the ineffectiveness of the taser. We have an entire generation of cops, not physically fit, not training in any manner, that rely on a device that's 30 to 40% effective for their entire life. Then the only other thing they carry that's effective is a firearm. They don't shoot it. They don't train with it. They're not proficient in it. So they're walking around undersized, overweight, not prepared, with 2 tools that fail regularly due to human input and then other input.
Sometimes in their hand at the same time.
Yes, sometimes they pull the wrong one. Sometimes they pull the wrong one.
Yeah.
But just think of the concept of how they attacked the sergeant for everything he did and how great they are in the comments when we see over and over again, they can't fire the taser, they can't fire their gun, they can't fight. And they're getting overwhelmed by people, and they're all relying on tools instead of old-fashioned strength, tactics, training, physical fitness, which you can't fail physical fitness. Unless you have a heart attack and die right before you get ready to go hands-on, you can't. Like, you're when you stay in that good shape, you're good. So
yeah, but you forget one thing. They hunt the evil you pretend doesn't exist.
Yeah, I got told all my followers were fuds that wear grunt style. I had to hold that yesterday. So
we got to get Dominick to wear a grunt style.
Yeah, and Dominick, one more before we go. Did you see the Jacksonville one they just released with the female sergeant, the male sergeant with the guy charging him with a knife?
No, somebody said
go look at it because the gun goes. I'm going to tell you, there's 2 cops there, a male and a female. One of their guns goes click because there's no bullet in the chamber.
She had no round chambered?
No, I'm just telling you. I didn't say she. I said one of them. One of them at the scene.
Well, how do we know that class 1 malfunction?
Because it's the report came out. Not only was it no bullet in the chamber, there was non-agency issued rounds in the gun because they were loaded back with not real ammo that they're supposed to carry.
Not real ammo.
So she went
ball round. Yeah,
ball round. So she went to a training range date.
Something happened.
Her switched her ammo.
You got to watch it because the click is one of the loudest clicks you'll ever hear. So.
Oh, they said that a million times. That click will be the loudest thing you ever fucking hear in your life.
She says it too. I'm surprised she recovers quickly. She says, "Oh shit," racks it right back and starts firing. But that "oh shit" moment is like, boy, I wouldn't want to be on the other end of that gun when that happened. But don't forget tomorrow, 11 a.m. Anti-Hero broadcast. Dominick will be on around noon tomorrow with us. Tomorrow night, the night shift, and then Friday night. Dominick over on Dominick's Cop Talk, 8 p.m. live. He does his show on Cop Talk. Who you got this week? You know yet?
No, I don't know just yet.
Uh-oh. All right. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the Anti-Hair Broadcast YouTube channel. Take care, Dominick.
Peace, CC.